Hello, this is Ray from TeenageMutantNinjaTurtles.com over here with the voiceover of Michelango, Mr. Robbie Rist.
Hello.
How's everything going with you today, Robbie?
I probably don't sound all that much like him at the moment.
Well,
although I get it at conventions a lot that people go, even though you're not really doing, in upended commas, the voice, I can still hear it in there.
Oh, definitely. I could hear it myself, and, watching the movies plenty of times, I could definitely hear it in there. I'm sure when you're in the recording studio, it definitely comes out a little bit different.
Oh, yeah, totally. There's a slight affectation. Although, I'm from the San Fernando Valley, we all talk that way.
Yeah, we seen that you were from Los Angeles, so you're actually from... Okay. And
am I actually from Los Angeles? Yeah, I was born and raised.
Absolutely. And now, going with a few questions, we understand you started your acting career as a child. Did you have any person or character who inspired you to join the acting business?
Well, when I was a kid, I was really into the 1930s Universal Studios horror movie, the Frankenstein, Wolfman, kind of thing. And basically, I wanted to be in one of those movies. And so I kind of complained to my parents that, I want to be in a monster movie. Eventually it became, I just want to be in a movie. And my parents thinking that if they took me on one audition, I would see how boring it was and wouldn't want to do it. I ended up getting the job. So, and then I got the next 6 jobs in a row or something crazy like that. So, So I guess if anybody really inspired me, it would be Lon Chaney Jr.
Lon Chaney Jr.
Yeah.
Well, getting the role of Cousin Oliver at that young of an age, and then multiple on after that, I'm sure your mother regretted letting you try it, but hey, it's all worth it.
Well, regret's an interesting word, but definitely every Thanksgiving she does make a point of toasting that she drove me around for 11 years of her life, that she could have been doing other things.
Maybe one day you could repay her somehow.
Yeah, I keep waiting for the big check to come in so I can buy her a house just to shut her up, Yeah.
For sure. Now, I guess if you didn't get into acting, did you see yourself doing anything else, like maybe an MMA fighter?
No, I think I might have been too tiny, but actually tennis player was probably one of the things on the list.
Tennis player?
Yeah, I was a pretty good tennis player when I was a kid. So, it was either going to be, and I think really ultimately, I just don't have the jock mentality for sports. I'm so when it comes to music, and I'm so here, why don't you play it? I have no interest in this. It's I think to be a sort of a sports person, there's a never say die attitude about it. Mm-hmm. And the first thing I say is die. So, I'm like, oh, you beat me. Oh, well, time to quit,
Well, we understand you're into music pretty much, and
So, concurrently, I was doing music also. So, if it wasn't tennis, it was probably going to be. It is music. The crazy thing about entertainment is the idea is not to do one thing. If you specialize, especially at this stage of the game, the way it's all set up, you're doomed. So I think the idea behind being a performer in these social media saturated times that we live in is to be a stand-up comic, musician, actor, writer, direct, do everything, because I don't think any one thing is going to take that much of your time.
Yeah.
And also, let's say it turns out that one of those things does. I think there's great strength in knowing. I talk about this with some frequency about how the director James Cameron knows how to do everything on a movie set as good as anybody who does it professionally. Mm-hmm. And I think there's great strength in making art if you know as much about all of the different areas of it as you can.
Yes, absolutely. That is actually very important. So you took acting into entertainment, and you basically you got it all put together basically for yourself.
Yeah, originally it was that because I was acting so much and I was a kid, I thought that was the only, I directed movies when I was 10, 11. Mm-hmm. So, I was already sort of, spreading myself thin even back then.
That's always very good. We always like to ask this question as, what has been like your most memorable acting experience, or I guess we could even really say entertainment experience?
Well, I mean, God, I've been doing this since I was 6, so I'm going on my 43rd year of being in the entertainment business. And I mean, good heavens, there's so many. I mean, just the amount of what I consider to be, acting royalty. The amount of people that I worked with that are in that strata of the business is mind-boggling. Sometimes, for whatever, somebody will ask me about something and I'll have to check my IMDb page for it, and I'll look at something and I'll go, oh my God, Hector Elizondo was in that. It's like I worked with all these crazy people who, it's like watching The Twilight Zone and going, oh my God, that's Robert Redford.
Yeah.
Although I never worked with Robert Redford, but yeah, it's there's so many events, there's so many things. I mean, everything from Susan Olsen breaking my face on the Brady Bunch to, I don't know, I got to, do these huge stunts in this Disney back in when they had Mouse Club in the late 70s. They had a little serial show that was 5 minutes long that ran in the middle of the show called The Mystery of Rustler's Cave, and it was all about horses and motorcycles, and it was the closest thing I've ever been to, like, being on a huge budget, stunt movie. So I mean, gosh, there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, I've like I said, 43 years. Maybe I'll talk about it all in the book.
Yeah.
whenever the book comes out.
Well, we'll be buying it for sure, definitely.
That's right. I will demand that TMNT.com, promotes it. I'll be back.
Definitely, of course, and we'll be listening. We even seen a McDonald's commercial before, and you're very young in that commercial. I don't know if you did a good job there. Hopefully McDonald's give you free food for life.
Oh, yeah. No, I was like, I don't know if I should apologize for it or not, but, everybody's eating quarter pounders because of me. I did like the first ads for it. Okay, it's not because of me, but I had something to do with it. But yeah, no, how old was I? I don't know, I think I was 7 when I did that, or 8. And it's on YouTube. People have shown it to me, and I'm like, that kid has got a very purposeful walk. If you watch the commercial, when I go from like the car into the restaurant, I'm like, man, that kid is going somewhere. I don't know. It's pretty amazing. Actually, the guy who plays the dad in that, if I'm not wrong, is, or was anyway, the voice of CBS comedy promotion for a whole bunch of years. He was the voice of CBS for their comedy shows. And it's crazy because it was 1972, and, here we are below these many years later, and we're both still working.
Yeah.
Because entertainment's a business that very much, chews people up and spits them out.
We understand that. So many people try to go into it, but they can't make it. And here you are, you got your first 6 roles, and, a good amount of years later, you're still doing it, which we very much like to hear. Yeah,
I mean, just the other night, the interwebs are an amazing thing. I'm kind of making contact with a lot of people that I did acting with when I was a kid. And last Sunday at a bar near my house, this guy named Kirby Furlong, look him up, he did a lot of work. Kirby's a musician also, and he's, doing that regularly, but he doesn't do a whole lot of acting these days. It's amazing to me how many guys that I grew up with aren't doing it anymore.
Yeah. It's good that you're still doing it. And
I'm remarkably lucky. I mean, there's some ability behind it, but in entertainment, if you're still doing it after a certain amount of time and actually having some sort of success at it, it's a lottery. It's just stupid luck.
Yeah.
Because I know people that are way more talented than I am that have a hell of a time picking up any kind of work.
Well, I can't necessarily agree with it because you did one heck of a job with Michelango, so I know you try to be a little bit modest right now.
Well, like I said, there's a little ability behind that, but I think the Michelangelo thing, I was lucky again in that my graduating high school class of 1982, basically we brought surf speak to the masses. That Frank Zappa song Valley Girl, that song is about my neighborhood. And
really?
all of the way, yeah. I mean, all of the people that I knew in my circle for like 5 years before that all talked that way.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole surf speak thing caught on in the 80s, and I was dead center in the middle of all of the people who were doing that, who were talking that way. So when it came around to doing the movie, there's all this surf speak in it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is just all the guys that I went to high school with that used to get stoned out on the wall,
So I guess it's the ideal job to be Michelangelo.
Yeah, totally. And I still say words like totally. I still say words like totally and bitch, and I do. It's part of my, it's part of my vernacular. But but yeah, I mean, it was a lucky thing that it happened, and now here we are, 25 years later, something like that, and we're still talking about it.
Yes,
it's pretty crazy.
We always have been curious, like, how did you come up with a voice for Michelangelo? Like, did you just plain wing it, or did you research the Michelangelo?
Well, I mean, I read the script, and I just went, well, whether I get the job or not, I know all. I know this syntax. I know this cadence. I know how these people talk. Because, like I said, it was all the stoners that went to my school.
Yes.
I was just kind of doing an impression of them, and here we are, 20-some years later, and we're still talking about it.
Yep. Now, have you seen all incarnations of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
I